Hey everybody, welcome to the round 16 player ratings video. Really excited to be doing this one. As I said in the review, nothing better than recording content after a win. It's the feel-good factor, everything seems to be okay. All of a sudden we're building to a happy and bright future, and the worries of only 2 or 3 weeks ago are seemingly forgotten. Well, not really. I mean, they're absolutely not forgotten. We've still got a long way to go, let's be honest, but it just feels a little better. And as you start your week, you walk into your office, your workspace, your job site, wherever it is you do your work or whatever you do with your life, things just feel better, and banter is better, and conversations are finally going to be positive this week about the young kids and Dow and Kennedy and Silvani and the rest. So yeah, really excited to bring you this video. Welcome to the player ratings. If you've never been to the Blue Abroad YouTube channel, first of all, welcome. It's great to have you here. The player ratings video is really just a conversation starter. I like to rate players 1 to 10. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. Based on a few metrics. It's all really an instinct and a gut feel, but based on a player's standing in the team in terms of experience and expectations, and where they are in the the pecking order, and their role in the day, and how they perform. It's got nothing to do with what they did in round 6 or round 2. It's really just this game. These ratings are not right, not wrong. We had a few people last week get a little bit in their feelings about the ratings. It's really going to work like this. I'll start the conversation with the rating. If you feel like it's too high or too low, just put a comment down below. Let me know what it should be changed to. Give a reasoning, and then I can make a change. I've got a spreadsheet in front of me here which has all the player ratings for the season, and then at the end of the year we've got a leaderboard, and we'll crown a champion and see how close we get to the best and fairest on the night. So again, not right, not wrong, just a discussion. For those of you returning, you know how this works. I know you won't get in your feelings, so let's begin, because I'm excited for this. First up, Newman, Jones and Plowman. Now, Nick Newman, I personally, I don't know if anyone else saw it like this, I just can't speak highly enough of his game, and there's a few factors for me. Doherty out, Williams out, 2 big influential guys who, if let's say Williams was the only out, Doherty would probably go behind the ball and patrol that generation of ball forward from defence. But I thought Nick Newman stepped up in that regard, and he really led. And I was at the game, so I was watching what was happening behind the ball, and together with Wiedering, I thought the two of them really patrolled there. And the defenders today are going to get a little bit more of some credit because of how phenomenal they were, particularly in that fourth quarter. We kept Freo scoreless from the 2-minute mark onwards. So I gave Nick Newman a 10. He had 24 touches, 23 of them were kicks. He went at 83%, 4 tackles, 11 marks. He was just an option, and he led. He really led. And ever since he came back into the side after being dropped after the GWS game, he has looked like a much more assured player, and I think it's good for him to be performing like that. And for that reason, I gave him a 10. That's one of the best games I've seen him play personally. I was all about it. Next up, Jones. I thought he was solid as always. He falls into that category of player where he does this phenomenal intercept mark and then turns the ball over with the very same possession. And if he can just clean it up, and look, he's 30. Is he going to be cleaning it up at this age? I don't know. Can he get better with his disposal efficiency? I hope so. I think sometimes his ambition gets the better of his ability. Just some poor turnovers, and I sort of flirted. Do I drop him down to a 7 or an 8? I started as an 8. Maybe you can have your input there, but I did think he was good as a defender. And look, again, it's just those 3 or 4 poor kicks, those moments that really hurt him. And if we lose this game, he's probably looking at a 5 or a 4. So I do give a bit more credit for a win, because that's what should be rewarded, winning football. So I put it as an 8. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Plowman, I thought he was outstanding on the night. It was pretty much Michael Walters for the most part, and we know he's got a really good record on Michael Walters. He also stood Henry at times as well, and they're tough gigs for a guy that's much more bigger and taller than those two. So I gave him an 8 for his game. I thought he played well. The one-handed mark really, stood out, and there was one really errant kick which he's a victim of his position. And what I mean by that is, if he makes a mistake, in his part of the ground, it just hurts more than, for example, a forward making a mistake at that part of the ground, because a turnover in the defensive 50 generally results in a goal or a score against. So that kick, we were switching the play and he just kicked it out in the full, and you're just thinking, Lockie, come on. He's got to clean that up, but it was one errant kick for the most part. Apart from that, it was a really good game from him. So found a way to give him an 8. Next up, Sard, Wiedering and Stocker. Sardi, thought he was really good considering how much attention the Dockers put into him. He was looking to run and carry anytime we had a mark, and the Dockers did a really good job of manning him up. But the beauty of Sardi's game was he still found a way to impact. The other 19 touches, 402 metres gained. I thought he was pretty solid. I really did. So I gave him an 8. Wiedering, I thought he was sensational. He's had a really good couple of weeks. 20 touches and 10 marks. That 2010 game from a defender of his stature is as good as it really gets, to be honest. That's all you can ask for. He manned up. Lob was a non-factor for me on the night. I think he kicked the one goal, but I thought Wiedering was sensational. A few errant kicks as well out in the full, which were uncharacteristic of him. He sort of panicked at times, but honestly, he did a lot more good than what he did bad. And speaking of one-handed marks, that mark he took, I think it might have been in the 3rd or the 4th. That was sensational. And one of the other symbolic moments for Wiedering's game for me was in the 3rd quarter towards the end, where he took a mark. We were just panicking as we always do, and there was a forward 50 entry for Freo, and Wiedering took the mark, and you see him really screaming at everyone. I don't know what he said, but based on the body language, I think he was telling everyone to calm down or settle or fucking stop turning the ball over. I don't know, but it was good to see him animated like that. You love to see that, especially from a guy who comes across as really calm and composed and maybe not shy, but I just wonder, what's he like on the inside? Is he really vocal? I think he would be, and I think that they would respect his voice. So it was good to see. I gave him a 9 for his game. Stocks, man, I said it months ago. And I also want to give a shout out to Lippy in Tel Aviv, a good friend of mine, who, when Stocker was drafted, he said, he gave me credit for this, but he said it. He said Stocker will be captain one day, and I love it because he's got a little bit of everything. And I gave him an 8 for his game. The 5 tackles are the ones for me, like a few crucial ones on Nat Fife, and he flew the flag. He got a $2,000 fine for a late hit, which I think is ridiculous. Like, he didn't even get a 50-metre penalty on the night. Why is it being cited for a $2,000 fine? I don't know. The symbolic moment for me was when there was a little bit of a scuffle that went on behind play with Liam Henry and Stocker. First one in there. Like, this, he's got like he's a classy lad. He's got some fucking grunt about him, and I love it. I love what he brings. He's exactly what we need. I kind of get why he's playing behind the ball now because of his attributes. He's a competitor. He's tough. He's got a long booming kick. So I kind of get it. He's kind of playing that Luke Hodge role in a sense, early Luke Hodge days, and I get it. I'd love to see him eventually go into the midfield and maybe even get some touches in the midfield as the season finishes up this year and move on for next year. So we'll see how that plays out, but yeah, I gave him an 8 for his game. I love what he brings, and I just love him as a player. Next up, Walsh, Kerner and Newman. Walshy, I gave him a 9. I really did flirt with a 10. I don't know, maybe I should give him a 10. I guess you guys will fix that up for me. I wrote 10, then I wrote 9, but I mean, game winner, nah, fuck it, he gets a 10. Whatever, Kool-Aid. Just kept going. He didn't start very well, and David Teague said that he moved him onto a wing, and Sam Walshy just took that role on board and he said, yep, whatever you need. He had 8 touches in the first quarter, I think, and 9 in the fourth, and really led. He really played a leader's game, and got the game sealing goal. We were already ahead, but he really sealed the game for us. And just the scenes of the crowd when he kicked that goal. And I've just got this image of Joseph Adamo from the Almost Blues Brothers podcast. He was sitting with us, and just got this image of him doing these ones to the heavens above. It was phenomenal. But Walshy, great game, 8 tackles. Of course, I'm giving him a 10. I don't know what I'm thinking about doubting that, but anyway, he was fantastic. And who knows, maybe that's another 3 Brownlow votes, and that Brownlow prediction doesn't look so silly now. Ed Kerner, I gave him a 7. He was okay. one thing I'm failing to really understand and grasp with Ed's role is what it is. I'm not sure. Is he tagging? Is he on the wing? Is he behind the ball? Is he just like a fix-it guy, kind of like what Jack Noons is? I'm just not sure. But in terms of how I felt his impact on the game I think it was, relative to a 7. So that's what I gave him. Pretty much the same with Noons in his role. Like, he had the 14 touches. He's so unassuming. I looked at his stats, after the game. Like, I don't really remember him having it 14 times, but I thought he was okay. I didn't think he, massively impacted the contest. So I gave him a 6 for his game. Cripps, Casbolt, and Eddie. Cripper, I'm giving him full credit here because it was a real captain's performance. One thing that hasn't been spoken about on any of the programs in the mainstream media is his shepherding. I can't see a stat for shepherding, but the blocks he was putting on for Dow and Walsh and everyone else, and even Samo at times, was nothing short of remarkable. It was a real selfless performance. He was injured badly. I got some serious anxiety when he hit his foot into someone else's leg. I thought it reminded me of when he broke his leg against Melbourne a few years back, and I was just worried that that's what he had done again. But thankfully he didn't, and it was just a sprained foot, as what he described. And anyway, he went on with it. He utilised the handball game, didn't kick much, which, to be honest, it's probably suiting him. He's gone at 91% disposal efficiency, and he just played a real captain's game, and proud of him. I think he's, ever since the signature, there's been a different vibe around Cripps. I feel like there's a weight that's been lifted off his shoulders, because ultimately it's just, think about all the pressure and all the scrutiny and all the attention that is going on to him before he signs the contract. Would you say that of all of it, 30 to 35% of it would be contract related? So all of a sudden you've got 30 to 35% of all this scrutiny and attention removed, instantly gone. You sign a contract, and then 30 to 35% of all of that attention's, becomes nothing. And he's kind of playing like it. He looks a little bit more happier, looks a little less stressed, and I could be just, grasping at something here, but I think there's something that's happened within him, and he looks a little bit more calmer on the field, not as tense. So he's looking to get other people involved, and he's doing well, and I think he needs to be acknowledged, and therefore I gave him a 9. Casbolt, this was interesting. At the game, I thought he was poor, apart from the last 5 or 6, 7 minutes. When I watched the replay, I realised that he, for the most part, did his job. Crash packs, helped out in the ruck, did his thing. It's not pretty. I think where we get frustrated, and especially at the ground on Saturday night, was just the out of position, the moments where he was out of position and getting outmarked really easily, and just looking fumbly, and the fresh air kick, and it just, he's a little clunky. I think that's the word to describe. He's not mobile, he's not agile, he's just, he's big meat. I don't know how to describe it. And it can be frustrating, but when you get to that last quarter, and he did a job. He took the marks. He didn't drop them. He provided the contest, and I found a way to give him a 5, just a pass mark. Maybe that's a little harsh. I don't know, but it just wasn't as bad as what I thought it was on the night. Like, I was pulling my hair out. I'm turning to people that I was with, and I'm like, he can't play. Like, he just can't play anymore. And I kind of understand why he played, because to have, Darcy there with Tom De Koning, Darcy is a massive body. And I don't know if Tom's ready to take that type of contest for 4 quarters yet. Maybe next year, because Tom's had a very interrupted year. So I kind of understood the selection. We'll see what happens this week. I don't think Geelong have, as big a bodies. I mean, you got Radagalier and I think Stanley. I'm not sure where they're at the moment, but anyway, we'll talk about that next week. But I gave Levi a pass mark for his game. I thought he did his job. The reason why he gets a pass mark for me is really because of that 4th quarter. He lifted and helped us win the game. Eddie Betts, I gave him a 7. 11 touches, 2 goals, 4 tackles. That might be a little harsh as well. Maybe he needs to have an 8. Thought he was, it was classic Eddie. Just lively. He creates things, the magic, the crowd, every time he goes near the ball, there's something magical in the air about it. There's not a stat for it. And I just enjoy watching him play. It's really good to see him playing well. The contract situation is going to start to become a talking point. It's going to be interesting how it all plays out, because for me, personally, before the year started, I was thinking, gee, if we get anywhere close to 20 goals from Eddie Betts, I'll be wrapped. It looks like he's going to kick more, 30 or more. So that's a great result. And yeah, gave him a 7. Next up is Jack Martin, Harry Mackay, and Jack Silvani. Now, Jack Martin is the only player that didn't get a pass mark for me. And again, this is relative to expectation. And Jack Martin, for me, is one of the big signings we've had over the last, 5-6 years. And I just didn't think he got his job done, personally. I gave him a 4 for his game. He had moments and he had shots on goal. And, if he kicks, it's very similar to last week. He had 13 touches, but he kicked 2 goals. Whereas, in this game, he has where is he? He has the 12 touches and he kicked 0 goals too. So, gettable shots as well. And he had one that didn't even make the distance, or he kicked it out in the full. Just didn't think he moved well. He sort of reminded me of the GWS game. He just didn't look there. He also didn't lay a tackle, which is one thing I really attribute to Jack Martin when he's playing at his best. He's a tough player, even though he's a little seemingly slight in size compared to the other, mid forwards. He didn't lay a tackle, and for me, he's got to be leading the charge. He's one of the, I know he hasn't been at the club for a long time, but when you bring a guy of his caliber to the club, I just expect more from him. And so I've given him a 4 based on my expectations of his potential. So I didn't think he got his job done. Harry, it wasn't his night. He had a really different opponent this time around in Alex Pearce, who's a really good defender. He found a way to kick his 3 goals. He had 4 shots on goal total. That's all you can ask for. Didn't have a lot of the ball. I thought he played for free kicks at times as well. He's just got to be a little bit more stronger in the contest. And I noticed him falling over a bit. I don't know. He just seemed to lose his feet a little bit. So I hope that he corrects that. But look, I gave him a 6 for his game. You kicked 3 goals as the forward. You've done your job. So that's how I felt about that. Jack Silvani, wow, it happened. He put it all together. I am a big advocate of Jack being in the side because he's the heart and soul, and he's the conduit between the identity of the Carlton Football Club, of the past and the present. Obviously, the family ties. I love him. He's like a son, or a brother, or a relative to the fans because of the lineage. And he just hadn't put the stats on the board. The effort and all of that was there, but the goals and the marks and the tackles weren't there. And funnily enough, he didn't lay a tackle, which was interesting. He hasn't registered a tackle for this game, but I thought he was fantastic. It was arguably one of his best games for the club. I don't remember him playing too much better than that. I think he kicked 3 goals against Melbourne one time and was pretty good that day. But, 19 touches, 9 marks. That's the big one. 9 marks. He actually got around the ground, took some marks inside 50 as well. 2 goals, 1. And, I gave him an 8. It would have been a 9, but I saw 0 tackles next to his name, and I felt like that needed to be addressed. So for someone that gives us such good forward pressure to not lay a tackle, and also be around the ball so much, I just felt that way. But nevertheless, great game from Jack, and happy for him. DeConing, Dow and Kennedy. Tommy DeConing, good experience for him. These games are fantastic for him. He's now, leading the ruck charge with someone there as his chop out. He's battling. He was clearly a lot, leaner than what Sean Darcy was. He's a brute of a human, and he's a really good ruckman too. So Tom found a way to hit the scoreboard though, and that's very crucial for me. So for that reason, I gave him a 7. Paddy Dow, it's just warm and fuzzy inside when you see him play like that, right? That first quarter was fantastic. 11 touches. I think he had 6 clearances in the first quarter, and unfortunately, he didn't carry on with it for the rest of the game. He finished up with the 22 after having, I think, 15 or 16 at half-time. Kicked his goal. It was, it was the Paddy Dow. Was it the breakout game? No, I don't think it was, but it was looking like it. I think when he puts it all together, we'll know. The fans will know, and it was good. There have been a lot of people that have put their hand up who wrote him off. I mean, the criticism to Paddy Dow has been warranted in the sense that he wasn't going hard enough. He looked like a deer in the headlights at times. He wasn't able to just impact and get in there, and he looked confident. And I said in my review, he was there with Brayshaw and Chera, the guys that were in his draft, and it was kind of like, I can do this. You guys were in the same draft as me. I can do this. And I think what he's needed is that game and the game last week, and hopefully comes up against a good opponent in Geelong this week and goes again. And hopefully he just keeps building. There was a moment in the first which hasn't been spoken about, but I think he went into a contest. He actually got hit in the face. It was like head-on-head contact, and I watched it, I noticed it, and I saw him react to it a little bit, and I felt like after that it was kind of like a realization of, oh, like I'm all right, like I'm good. And he just kept going in hard, and I was very proud of him. I think it was a great game from him. Like I said, 22 touches, 2 tackles, and a goal. Kicked the ball relatively well, so I gave him an 8 for his game, and I'm stoked for him. Kennedy, he also, very similar game to Dow in that he started really well, didn't really go on with it in the second half, but you know, for a guy that's on the rookie list and in the situation that he's in, 22 touches, 6 tackles and a goal, I thought he was really good, so I gave him an 8. I loved his game, and you know, that's 3 good ones in a row. One thing about Kennedy, you know, in years gone by, is he'll come in, have 1 good game, followed by 1 poor game, followed by 1 good game, whereas this year he's had 3 really good games, and I'm pretty happy with that. The bench, Samo, Willow, Fogarty and Owies. Samo, he looked a little better. He had 15 touches in the end. I think he's just getting used to being back into his natural role. Having said that, he did go back behind the ball in the fourth quarter because we needed to do something, and so I understood the merit of that, but just there were flashes of brilliance throughout that game, and he needs to get fitter. I think he needs to get a little stronger. There were a few broken tackles, but you know, nonetheless, we've seen what's happened to him over the last few weeks. I think he's going to need to adjust back into his role, and I think I would hope what I want from him is he needs to kick a goal and get that feeling of getting on the scoreboard again, and the boys getting around him, and I think that will hold him in good stead. The other thing I will criticise is no tackles, none at all. So I gave him a 6 for his game, pass mark, but you know, with room to improve. Willow, look, he was an interesting selection. The report about his game last week wasn't overly impressive. It seemed like he didn't have his best performance, but nonetheless, he got an opportunity to play at the level. He didn't look out of sorts, which was a relief. 10 touches, kicked the behind, drove the ball forward for us when he needed to. You know, for him to go to the next level, he's got to be getting more of the ball, for me anyway, because I think he is an attacking defender, and I think we've got so many of them, but it seems like he was in defence to play a specific role. I think he did that. His aggression was there, his intent was there, and for a guy that hasn't played at the level for however many weeks now, I thought he was okay. So I gave him a 6 for his game. Fogarty, I thought he was solid. He had the 14 touches, which is all you can really ask for that half forward role. Anything 15 or more is probably what you really want, but whatever, 1 less. Would love for him to hit the scoreboard. That's really when Fogarty's playing at his best. But I still thought he did his job, so I gave him a 6 for his game. Owies, he's a revelation for us. He had the 9 touches and a goal. Provides the effort that we ask for as fans, and puts it on the scoreboard most weeks. I think he's kicked a goal in most, if not all, games. I should check that, but he's coming along nicely, and he's probably the development story for us of the season, which is a word that we don't really use positively at the Carlton Football Club as fans, development. But he's definitely come along, and I gave him a 6 for his game, and that's it. Those are the ratings. So as I said, they're not right, they're not wrong, they're just the start of the conversation. You guys will refine them in the comments if they need to be refined, and then we'll make adjustments higher or lower where they need to be made. So enjoy the week. Don't forget the giveaway with the merchandise. Any purchase from the Blue Abroad store in the month of July, you will go in the draw to win this 150-year anniversary Guernsey. The 16 premierships on the bottom there. You got the famous quote here about the monogram, and we'll look to get that out at the end of July, and we'll see what happens. Let's chat about the ratings in the comments. Enjoy your week, and go the Mighty Blues.